traveler. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to connect with the energy of the full moon. It's a beautiful, bold, strong energy. We're going to do a reading. We'll pull some runes and some cards and receive a collective message. Please feel free to take whatever resonates for you and leave the rest for someone else. We'll have 2 piles. Pile 1 will be this black candle. And pile 2 will be this white candle. Just use your intuition to choose the pile that speaks to you the most. Or, of course, you can watch both. See you at your pile. Hello, pile 1. If you chose the black candle, then this reading is for you. We're going to start by pulling some runes. I find that starting with runes allows me to focus the energy on a bit of an overview or a direction that the reading will take. So I will choose a few runes. Very interesting reading. So I've got Feu, face down on its side there. We have Rido off at an angle. On it's upright, but kind of laying on its side there. Face down, we have Kenaz and Wunjo. So the message I get from this reading is that you are feeling a bit lost, or perhaps that there isn't enough progress and you're confused as to why. Maybe you're feeling like your questions aren't being answered. They're being asked, but you aren't receiving wisdom from the asking. It's affecting your energy levels, but also your creativity and certainly your joy. Perhaps you even feel that there is some movement, but it's not in the direction you wish to go. Or it feels as if it might be going down the incorrect path, and your prayers, your meditation, the questions you're asking are going unanswered. So let's see if we can use the cards to get some clarity about this situation. So a few more details I'm getting about the situation is that you feel as if you are working against a system, something that feels perhaps bureaucratic, slow-moving. This could be a court, a job, a company, the medical system I'm getting, the hospital system, the legal system. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of legal and medical energy. Perhaps you have a lawsuit or a situation that you're dealing with that has to do with an institution, a church, a school, perhaps fighting against some kind of issue that feels fraught. It feels as though you're not getting anywhere. It could be an application to something. Maybe it feels like there's just too many steps, or that every time you try to meet the requirements and fulfill what's being asked, they come back with something else that they need, and it just feels very convoluted and like you're playing whack-a-mole with the messages, the emails, the requirements, the phone calls. Could be insurance, dealing with insurance, making a lot of calls and sending a lot of messages and just feeling a little bit unsteady and overwhelmed. Okay, let's get some advice perhaps about it. What's in the way? What needs to be done differently? How can we... Cards are getting a little erratic, a little squirrely. They want to talk to us. Interesting. So there's something you've overlooked. There's something you're ignoring. Ooh. Yeah. The Tower, many people think of as a negative card, but certainly the imagery is jarring. However, it's important to remember, okay. It's important to remember that the Tower just means an unexpected, a surprise essentially, an unexpected situation, an unexpected outcome, something shaking out in a way other than what was expected. Often it can feel like an upheaval or a shift, an adjustment, which makes people, humans, uncomfortable. So it's understandable that we try to avoid that, but we don't grow when we're comfortable. Things don't evolve when we're comfortable. Evolution is very uncomfortable. Transformation's uncomfortable. So what I'm seeing here is that there is a solution or a pathway towards feeling better about this, feeling a little bit more on the right path, a little more in control, perhaps receiving the wisdom that you're asking for, the answers that you're asking for. Perhaps there's a person who has access to the help that you need or an answer you haven't thought of. If this Page of Cups is not representing a person, it's possible as well that you need to approach things from a slightly more lighthearted perspective, which I know is hilarious given that the situation is clearly a bit serious. It's definitely not something to be dismissed as no big deal. There's definitely something here that is important or has the ability to have a major effect on your life. We have two major arcana cards here, and they're very structural oriented. They're sort of speaking to the structure of things. The Tower is literally a structure crumbling down. Perhaps this system that you're trying to work within. If you have a choice in the matter, perhaps there's a way to accomplish what you're trying to do without going through this specific system. More of an independent approach, or another company, another bank, another hospital, another school, another church, or none of those things. But there's definitely a need to two things. One, to embrace and accept the change and transformation that is required at this time, and not to be afraid of it, to realize that restructuring and having a little bit of a hiccup and a chance to try again in a different way is actually a gift, a blessing. So that's part of it. And then the other part is zooming out a little, getting some perspective. The Four of Cups speaks to perspective because, as you can see in the image, there's a person being offered a cup, and he seems less than excited about it. And his attitude could be perceived as, I already have 3 of those. I don't need another one. But someone else's perspective of his situation could be, my gosh, you have 3 cups and you're getting another one? That's amazing. Someone with less cups might see it that way, or someone whose cups are gone. So adjusting your energy to be more in the Page of Cups realm, which is more playful, more oriented towards seeing the glass half full. In this case, half full of a fish. But as hard as it may be to view something as uncomfortable as this, and something as unexpected and uncomfortable as this, through that lens, that is the advice that's being given through this reading. And perhaps you've been feeling blocked from seeing your abundance and appreciating what you do have, which has kept you from receiving more. And viewing something through the lens of difficulty and strife and confusion and all of that, as understandable and justifiable as that may be, all that it really does is keep you in that vibration. And that's when you get things like this, where you don't recognize what's available to you. So that is the advice for this situation. It's said with love. I hope you're able to receive it that way. I'm channeling the message, so please don't don't hate the messenger. Thank you for joining me. The full moon is a really good time to assess things and to check in with yourself. This message feels like a pretty honest check-in from Spirit. So, it's a good time to look at what's working and what isn't working, and use the next phase of the waning moon to close out some of those patterns that may not be helping you achieve what you want to achieve, because what you want to achieve is valid and important, and you deserve to have it. So work with yourself, work with the universe instead of against, and just try to get your mindset as clean as possible and get your energy vibrating as high as possible, and you'll see some road opening, I think. Thanks for joining me, and please let me know in the comments if you're comfortable sharing your story. I'd love to hear. And I'm rooting for you. I'm on your team, and I'm excited for you to see your path kind of opening up and to feel an ease an easing of what you've been struggling with. That's super exciting, and I can feel it around the corner. So congratulations on that, and good luck. I'll see you in the next reading. Hello, pile 2. If you chose this white candle, then this is your reading. I like to begin by pulling some runes, because the runes allow me to connect a little more specifically to the energy that I'm going to be zooming in on for this reading. They give a bit of an overview, and I find it easier to truly connect to the energy that wants to come through. So I will be selecting a small group of runes. Always interesting the way that they fall. Part of reading runes is reading the formation as well. I'm getting a very unusual message from this reading. I've never quite received a message in this way, especially with the runes, but this is being shown to me as a bit of a cycle and or a journey. It's not necessarily a repeating cycle, but a journey that you've been on for a while. As you can see, you started here and you're in this phase. So these are the phases that are finished in this particular journey. This is where you are now, and this is what's to come. So these two are in the past, this is the present, and this is the future. In the past, you have Othila and Ehwaz. Othila is the rune of home and family, the legacy, your ancestors. It's sort of your house in the literal but also the figurative sense. Your kingdom, your personal, sort of what you were born into, what you build, and what you leave behind. So what this tells me in this reading, being the first stage of this journey, and in the past a little bit, is that this has something to do with your family name, your family business, your ancestors, your grandparents, your parents, or your more distant ancestors could also be referring to your culture, your home culture of your ancestors, where your ties come from. So that's the starting point of this journey. So it gives us a little bit of insight as to what this reading may be about. And hopefully there's a resonance for someone, whoever's energy I'm connecting with, about this. This is something that's on your mind, something that you're in the middle of, or that you're working on. Ehwaz it's a rune of both power and restriction. There's a flexibility and a constriction quality. There's a sort of a dual nature to this rune. So it tells me that you are resilient, that you have had to struggle against some difficult constraints. This could be the passing of a relative and having to deal with their estate, or it could be fighting against someone in your family for what's rightfully yours, custody of a child, something you're owed, something that belongs to you, even something as large scale as fighting against an unfair oppression of your people, or speaking out about that, or, for instance, being part of a movement to return artifacts or art or power, land, things that belong to your ancestors that have been disputed. All of those, that's sort of obviously the more global version, but that is a message that's coming through here. Those two things are sort of the framework or the basis of this issue. The present, they were face down, meaning they're important to the reading that came out of the runes, but appeared face down, meaning they're sort of not relevant to the current energy. The current energy is Yura. It's the rune of harvest. It has to do with reaping the rewards of hard labor, difficulty, sacrifice. It's being able to enjoy the fruits of what you planted. And of course, that in this situation tells me that either you're experiencing a victory or you're enjoying a benefit that you received through your own hard work, which is so exciting. I'm happy for you. It's an energy of gratitude, abundance. It also represents the cycle of the year. So although the runes don't correspond to tarot, I find there are some universal energies. So if you're familiar with tarot, that would be the Wheel of Fortune. The passage of time, the turning of the wheel. Yura is a reminder that no matter how good or how bad things are, they always shift. And that's good, that's natural. But right now you are enjoying an abundant time, a harvest. But to remember that the lean times or the difficulties that you perhaps experienced very recently are intrinsic to the harvest. They need to be there to forge strength, to teach lessons, to cultivate skills that we need in the harvest and going forward. Speaking of going forward, the rune that came out for the next step of this journey, what's just ahead of you, is Kenaz, which is the torch. It's a very positive rune. It's very energetic. It's the fire element. It's creativity. In this context, I would say that perhaps there's going to be something born out of what you experienced, whether if this is a financial harvest, perhaps there's an investment or a purchase or a creation of something using that investment, using that harvest as an investment, using that money as an investment to fuel something creative. If it was not a financial situation, but a situation in which you gained wisdom, triumphed over something that could be shared with others in a talk, a book, a post, just word of mouth speaking, there's a flame that has been sparked from what you've experienced, and going forward, that flame will burn pretty strong into a really beautiful fire that, lights the way for you and others, a torch. So that's really exciting. I wasn't expecting such a complex reading. The runes are extremely complex with many layers of energy to them, which is why they were my first love and still my favorite divination tool and just energetic tool. But I'll ask for some cards just in case we need to clarify anything or supplement anything, but it feels very clear to me. I hope that it resonates with some of you. I'll move this off to the side. Put the canvas back face down so you can see where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. You can see it came out in almost an arrow. So we'll ask the cards for any additional advice, clarification. About this situation. Specifically, I'd like to know more about where you are right now. Okay. So, obviously I can see it has not been easy. Okay. So, this has been a heartbreaking situation. It's felt very constraining, as I mentioned. You felt very trapped at times, or like there was no right answer, between a rock and a hard place. The Ten of Cups could indicate that it's a family situation, or it can indicate, especially combined with the Three of Swords, that the energy that you're feeling and dealing with right now is bittersweet. So there's loss and gain involved. And I'm even picking up on a little bit of guilt. I feel like that might be something you're struggling with. Maybe guilt of benefiting from something, or being okay when someone else isn't, or others aren't, or having abundance when there's suffering around you. Let me get some more advice about that. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of hard to see in front of this. Yeah. There's definitely something that you have manifested or has come to fruition for you that you really wanted, you dreamed about, and you worked really hard for it. I can see that you made it happen through your own hard work, and it's possible that there are people around you who either feel that you don't deserve it, or that they don't understand why they don't have it, and that makes you feel some type of way. But the truth is that everyone has access to the dedication and the compassion and the hard work that you put in, and they have access to be able to do that themselves. And if they aren't doing it, then they are in their own way. no matter how much anyone else might try to blame you, put you at the forefront of their issues or the reason that they don't have things, it's not the case. They can do that all they want, but that doesn't make it true. But because you are an empathetic person, it feels terrible to you to know that people might think that. So part of the advice of this message is to work on getting clear about your own core beliefs about yourself, working on your self-talk, being a little bit more loving, supportive, talking to yourself like you would speak to someone that you love very much, because you are someone that you love very much. And realizing that if a thought you have or a philosophy you have applies to other people but not to you, such as perfectionism or just not being allowed to make mistakes, not being allowed to enjoy things, ask yourself if it applies to other people or only you. If you feel that way about other people too, or if it's okay for other people to make mistakes but not you, that's an indicator that that is a disordered thought. It's a good trick to check yourself and try to work on realizing that you can have things, enjoy things. I mean, this is a harvest. This is not a gift out of nowhere. Those, of course, happen, but in this case, this is something that you worked really hard for. You went through a lot, and you handled a lot, and I get the sense that you didn't really advertise that. You were doing a lot behind the scenes, and maybe the message I'm getting is you made it look easy. And and maybe that feels good to you, to know that you can do that you can do a really difficult thing. You can accomplish something that is really hard, but it didn't seem like it was hard. And, that is really impressive. But it also creates jealousy or judgment or just kind of incorrect assumptions from others. And you need to know that, be at peace with that, accept that everyone is on their own sort of journey to figuring out how they want to live their life. And they're just keeping themselves stuck by using you to be an excuse of why they haven't done something or why they haven't accomplished it. So, if possible, I know it's easier said than done, but try to look at yourself through your own lens and give yourself that grace, because you have all the information and they don't. You know what you did and what it took and how hard it was, and they don't, and they can't know. We never know what anyone else's internal journey is, so it's always best to approach that with that energy that you just don't know. And just be focused on yourself, and please try to enjoy what you have, because you earned it, and there's only more exciting things ahead. Kenaz is nothing if not an exciting rune. I can't wait to see and hear what you do. I'm excited. So, congratulations on whatever this is. Please, if you feel comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear. And I'm rooting for you. Yeah, thrilled for you. You're doing it, and you're doing it well. So pat yourself on the back a little bit and enjoy. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you in the next reading.